Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make 3 unique tree houses that all require different skill levels and materials to build. We have an easy tree house, a medium tree house, and what some might call an ultimate tree house. If you're new around here and you like the concept of this video, please do consider subscribing and clicking the little bell next to the subscription button, as that will ensure that you get all of my stuff sent directly to your sub box. And by the way, this is a brand new sort of video for me, so please, if you guys wouldn't mind, do leave me some feedback if you do enjoy this sort of format, and maybe I'll do the same thing with, say, modern houses or survival houses or whatever the case may be. Without any further ado, let's get started. The first house that we're going to build is the easiest and smallest out of the 3. It will require all of these materials that I'm now showing you on the screen. I'm going to provide you some rough estimates for about how many of each material we should be using. However, do bear in mind that trees are a little bit random, so they may be off a little bit. Please make sure that you have all of those materials and as many as you think you'll need. And once you have them all, we can get started. Step 1, we have to make the trunk of the tree. Begin by placing 4 oak wood coming up from the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want a tree house that is taller, then simply make that row higher. We have to make the platform for the inside of the tree house. That means placing some oak planks all the way around the top of the oak wood. And not only can you choose how high you want the treehouse to be, but if you expand the oak plank section, then you can choose how much room is inside your treehouse. We also have to figure out the leaves for the treehouse. So if you begin by placing a circular shape of oak leaves coming around the middle of the treehouse like this, I find it's best to begin with a regular shape for this. So tree houses I find often look best when they are a bit random in nature, but if you begin with a shape very similar to this, and you kind of fill in the gaps a little bit, taking note to expand some of the leaves towards you, taking note to leave some of the leaves as you expand them, then you can make what will look like a very natural and nice looking set of leaves. It will make it look as though that you have just plucked a random tree out from a forest and you have decided to live in it. I'd recommend adding a couple of glass, just so that you can identify your tree as you're walking about in the world. We of course have to adjust the leaves so that they do come all the way to the back as well. This is another technique that you can use to extend or shrink your house. Depending upon where you put the leaves, in what positions, you can give yourself more room or you can give yourself less room. You are also, of course, more than able to add more glass to the sides of the build wherever it is you may like. Now, you might want to spend a bit of time pruning the leaves. And by pruning, I mean take away some of the leaves. Make sure that you get a shape that you are nice and comfortable with. Let's say that you like that, you kind of like this big sort of like bushy shape here. Then you can leave it as it is, or you can keep adjusting it and you can like really turn it into like an oval shape or whatever it is. But once you're actually happy with the shape of the tree, all you will have to do is place a set of ladders coming up the front or any one of the sides of the trunk, destroy into the platform, place more ladders, and you will find that when you get up here, you will have access to the inside of your tree. And there really isn't too much more to it, other than to decorate the tree, which of course, I will leave up to you. But here's one I made earlier. As you can see, there's actually a significant amount of room inside of the treehouse, so you can really decorate it in a nice cozy survival style if you like. That is our first and easiest treehouse complete. Now this next treehouse is the second out of the 3 treehouses that I'll have to show you. This is what I would call a medium treehouse. It's right in the middle between easy and advanced, and requires all of these materials that you can now see on the screen to make. It uses roughly the same materials as the treehouse before, but with a couple of added extras, and it also requires a lot more of those materials. Please make sure that you have access to all of those and enough of those materials as well. And once you've gathered them, we can get started. Just as with the previous treehouse, we are going to begin by designating a height. I'm going to place 10 oak woods coming up from the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm now going to expand the bottom of the tree, and I'm going to place a ring of oak wood in this formation. Kind of like a circle or a donut. This entire ring is going to be extended upwards. We are going to be able to climb up inside of the tree. So this is a unique feature than the other tree, the basic tree, in that we are going to be completely protected climbing up the trunk. However, we are also going to have another unique feature, in that we are able to walk around and up into the tree. So we have multiple options. And of course, you can make the trunk of the tree bigger and smaller, taller, wider, however you like. So we have to be able to get into the base of the tree. I'm going to destroy the front middle 2 oak woods at the bottom. I'm going to destroy into the bottom of the tree and replace those 2 grasses with some oak planks, and I need to run a row of ladders coming all the way up the center of the tree. I also want to stick a door on this, right there. And now that we have done all of that, I'm now going to figure out the leaf system. So we have a way to get up and down our tree. All we have to do now is kind of figure out to ourselves, how are we going to make the living space? So this is going to be built in a similar way to the previous tree, but on a much larger scale. Begin by extending out the left and right of the tree by 4 using oak leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Create a shape that you are happy with the outline with. So I, for instance, am going to create a sort of a basic oval shape with the leaves. This is going to heavily influence the shape of the leaves at the top of the tree. You may feel as though that you have to prune this shape a bit, just to make it a shape that you're happy with. That doesn't look too bad to me. The way that we build up layers for this tree is the exact same sort of technique that we have done before, and it's actually the same sort of technique that you will use for most tree houses. You place leaves in such a way that you slowly shrink the space of the previous shape while still maintaining that random nature of the leaves. It's kind of hard to do, but easy once you have had enough practice. The biggest deal with actually doing leaves in general, if you've ever made any of my other tree houses, is the fact that you have to spend a lot of time making sure that it's a shape that you're happy with. So, for instance, that doesn't look too bad. And to finish up, all we have to do is just put a lid on the front of the tree, like this. Now, you might think that that looks a little bit messy, but once you have completely done all of that to the front and the back, once you have added all of the leaves that you need to do, we can prune it. So once we have done what we have done to the front, we then want to do the same thing to the back. And of course, you really just want to prune the tree until you are happy with the shape. This is probably the most time-consuming part of any treehouse. The leaf section almost always takes the longest amount of time because it's subjective. What I mean by that is, it's not really done until you say it's done. So if you're a little bit of a perfectionist, if you have a particular picture in your mind of how the tree should look, then it's going to take you a while. I'm going to leave that there because that will perfectly serve the function. However, if I was being a little bit crazy, then I would spend a lot more time on that upper part. But now that we have the trunk and now that we have the inside of the top of the tree, we have to find a way other than the middle to get up to there. So the way that we're going to do it is we're going to begin by placing an oak slab to the left of the door. We're going to extend the oak slabs left and then around the trunk of the tree. Whenever we are on the side of the tree, we are going to place oak wood slabs in a gradient that allows us to slowly climb the tree. However, on the corners, we're not going to do that. We are only going to ascend whilst we are on the actual side of the tree. And by placing the slabs in this way, it actually looks quite nice and pleasing. You will see when we eventually get there. If you've made the tree the same height that I have, then you should have roughly the same sort of look. And you will find, by the way, that once you have placed all of your oak wood slabs, that you will probably have to knock into the top of the tree here. So that's exactly what we're going to do. You're going to want to start off by making sure that you can climb around your tree onto the oak slabs, which we perfectly can. And then you're just going to have to knock out certain leaves until we're able just to walk up and into the treehouse. So just like that. That is fantastic. We can climb up and in. I'd always recommend adding a little bit of glass to your tree trunks. There's two specific places on this tree trunk that it looks really, really good. And you also get a nice little bit of a color gradient. Not only do you get the glass, but you also get to see the ladder as well, which looks really nice. And in doing that, ladies and gentlemen, you can climb up and around the tree, you can climb up the trunk. You'll eventually reach the inside of the tree here. So what I would recommend doing is I would recommend adding a bed of oak wood slabs like this, just to kind of create a solid platform. You don't want to shortchange yourself. Like, what I mean by that is, I probably used the wrong terminology. You don't want to make it so that you can't climb up the tree anymore. So you're not going to want to place your oak wood slabs in such a way, like if we place them here, for instance, I think that this will block us. Oh, it actually doesn't block us. That's great. Okay, perfect. So if we place these slabs there, then we're not going to hit our head. I think we will if we place it here. Yeah, perfect. So we actually get a little bit more room than we thought. You can even place some here as well. And that gives us a nice big empty space to do whatever we want with. Now, let me give you an example of how you might want this to look. It's up to you though. Now, here's one that I made earlier. You're going to have to use oak slabs to create planks on the base of the tree, but you should find that it gives this really cozy, messy feel in doing that. And of course you can use the alcoves of the leaves to store important survival related things as well. And you can even install what I would refer to as a skylight in the ceiling. Now that is treehouse number 2. For our third and final treehouse, we are going to use the most materials that we have used so far in both variety and amounts. Here are all of the materials that we are going to be using, ladies and gentlemen. Please do make sure that you have access to all of those and enough of them as well. And do bear in mind that those are only rough estimates, as you guys know, tree houses are a little bit random in nature. However, once you have grabbed them all, we can get started. The first thing that I always like to establish with tree houses is how tall they are going to be. This one is going to be 16 blocks of oak wood coming up from the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Not to mention, you can make that taller or smaller, and you can change the shape of the trunk. So we're going to come all the way down to the bottom of the oak wood row, and we're going to extend it as if we're looking down 1 block backwards. We're going to place 1 block back to the right, go right by 2, 1 block forwards to the right, forwards 2, 1 block forwards left, left 2, and then we're going to join back. We are essentially creating a circle, and that circle of course has to be as tall as all of the other oak woods. So this is where this treehouse gets a bit special. It still has all of the same utilities as the other tree houses, except the fact that we have a much larger trunk so we can use that as storage. We're not cramped whilst we're climbing up inside of it. We're still going to be able to climb up the outside, but we're going to have access to the house on top. When I say access to the house on top, what I mean is that you're not going to be built living inside of the tree. There is going to be an actual house built into the top of the tree that we're going to live inside, which is a major difference between the other two. Once you have created the trunk of the tree, we are now going to create the platform that is going to sit atop the tree and the house as well. So I want you to begin by doing this. Place yourself 4 birchwood planks coming up from the front right hand side of the tree. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're then going to go left by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're then going to move inwards 1. We're then going to move left 2. 1, 2. We're going to place a glass underneath that block. A birchwood plank to the left. And then we're going to go down. And then right by 3. 1, 2, 3. This is a weird shape, I will grant you that. But what we also want to do is we want to take the upper right hand corner of the shape that we made. It's the row 4 that we placed earlier. We extend it backwards to the right by 2. 1, 2. We want to place a glass underneath. Birchwood plank to the right. Go down 2. And then we're going to connect backwards. So we're going to have something which should look like this. You can actually do the same sort of thing on the left here. You can extend the birchwood planks down. You can fill in all of the empty space around the windows like this. We also want to add a vertical row of birchwood planks here on the left to make both sides of the treehouse even. We want to kind of connect the bottom of this together. We want to place an oak door here on the right indent, split the area in half vertically using birchwood planks, extend the bottom block to the left, and then place a small window here. Additionally, we are going to place a birchwood plank all the way up in the top middle part of the house like this, and that is the general outline for the house. So we also have to extend the sides backwards. Now, this is kind of up to you. This controls the width of the treehouse, right? So I'm going to extend the sides backwards about 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to want to do the same, by the way, with the bottom of the treehouse. So the platform. This is going to give us all of the living space that we could possibly need. So we want to extend the back and the sides, well, backwards, as I kind of mentioned. So we'll have something which should look like this. We are now going to copy what we have on the front of the build a little bit. So we want windows in the same place on the back of the build as we have the front. we're going to place the same birchwood planks around the glass like this that we did on the front to create the, what I would call the two wings of the house, so to speak, like this. We now want to kind of take this middle area here, and we just want to kind of fill this space in one row outwards using birchwood planks like this. So the middle part of the back of the house kind of wants to stick out a little bit like this. We're going to knock a block in the middle here and place a window. And we're also going to take the very top middle and place a birchwood plank. So very similar to what we have on the front here. If you want to shape this a little bit, you can actually knock out a couple of blocks on the lower and bottom rights of the platform like this, the lower left and the bottom right, and it kind of just gives an interesting shape to the build. Additionally, what we want to do, and we've made it a little bit difficult for ourselves, is we want to extend the trunk of the tree upwards and outwards of the top of the treehouse a little bit. So we kind of want to track where the trunk of the tree is a little bit. And what we want to do is we want to create a trunk that is going to just extend out of the top of the treehouse a little bit. So you can kind of figure out where it is in relation to just below. So it doesn't actually have to even be straight, to be honest. It can just come straight up out the top like this. And I want you to add just a couple of rows. It can be 1 or 2 rows of oak wood like this. I know that this looks horrible at the moment. It will look so much better in a bit, trust me. So the next thing that we have to do is give our treehouse a roof. We're going to start with the middle. You want to place oak wood slabs on the top, left and right of the middle part of the treehouse. And you want to extend those slabs inwards and upwards. Eventually, you will reach a point, a literal point like this. You want to extend these slabs, possible, backwards. They'll come all the way back here, and they will join to the trunk of the tree, but it will also come across the back, and it will look the same as the front, like this. So you're going to be able to extend some blocks backwards, you're going to be able to extend some blocks into the tree. Both of them will look quite good once they've finished. So once you have just kind of like joined things together a bit, you can see how the house really looks as though it's integrated into the tree, which is a really, really cool thing. So that's how the front and that's how the back should look. Which just leaves us these two little parts of the tree house here. We're going to extend the roof here just across the side, and we're just going to like extend this block here. We're going to flare it up a bit, but then we're going to start bringing it down like this. I think that that's actually alright. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. So what we do is, we take this inner block here, we extend left, up, but then also like left, down and left, like this. And then we just want to extend across the back and have a similar sort of deal. So like it will just join. So you still want what I would call like, you want like a bump in the roof. But that's pretty much everything, and we're just gonna add like a couple of rows of maybe like birchwood planks here, and I guess we can add we can use oak wood here as well, and we just want to also do this to this side of the roof as well. So we just want to do the little mini parts of the roofs and just join them all together like that, and we want to extend this. But then you'll just have these two little parts here that are just going to be birch, but that's not really any trouble. It will be asymmetrical because the tree is actually a little bit asymmetrical, but that's perfectly fine. So you can see that that actually makes a huge difference, so that already looks better. Additionally, we want to have a platform, a balcony coming out of the front of the tree. So all we're going to do is place, how many? We're probably just going to place like, we don't want this end block here on the left and right. We're going to place about 1, 2, 3, maybe about 3 rows, maybe 4 rows of birch, like this, coming out from almost the ends here. I'm going to fill the middle of it in, but I'm also going to take the corners of it off, so like this. and then I think maybe like just kind of like give it this sort of action. So it's a little bit curved. And the reason that we have left the blocks on the left and right side alone is so that we can place some oak wood slabs around the top of the balcony like this. And then that will give us something which should look exactly like that, which looks really, really good. Now, once that has been done, we also have to make some leaves up at the top here. So the top of this tree is actually going to be a bit flatter. If you begin by placing about a row of 5 or 6 leaves coming out of the top left and right side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then create a simple shape. So it's actually going to be kind of like a bit more like a frisbee sort of shape, really. Kind of still an oval, but it's going to be a bit flatter. But it still adheres to all of these same building qualities that we mentioned earlier. You can cover up the discrepancies in the top of the roof by using your leaves as well. And I'm also going to show you another technique which we haven't used on the trees just yet. So I've showed you guys how you can add like leaves and that to the top of the tree, like the front of the tree and the sides of the tree, and to shape and prune it, but you'll find with this particular tree house, as you extend back, you'll be left with like a flat disc like this of leaves. You can also add random patches of leaves to the underside and the top as well, and it just makes the tree look a little bit more alive. This is a technique that you're going to want to keep doing and doing and doing. We've made quite a few treetops now, haven't we? So I think that we'll actually be alright. The front of the treehouse doesn't look too bad, although it might have to be ever so slightly taller. This is something that you're going to have to determine for yourself. And as you do that, you're going to want to, of course, add and take away blocks wherever you feel as though that might fit. So the front of the tree, the actual treetop, looks pretty good. I think I might extend it a little bit perhaps, just so that it sits over the front of the house. But once you've done that to the front of the treehouse, we of course have to do it to the back. Now, once you are happy with your leaves on both the back and the front as well, you can see that I changed them a little bit, and I'm quite happy with how they look now. They look a little bit more draped over the top of the treehouse. We can now work on the rest of the treehouse. So we're going to come all the way down to the bottom. We have to create an entrance. The entrance is going to be in the front middle of the tree, and I'm going to destroy all of the surrounding grass that we have here, and I'm going to replace it with, I think I'm going to use some oak wood, because we use a lot of birch in this construction. We have to run a row of ladders coming all the way up the top of the tree. It's incredibly dark in here, and then we want to be able to actually surface into the inside of the tree. So that's great. We can get up and down there now. We can walk into the trunk of the tree. We're going to place an oak door here, just so that people know that that is an actual proper designated entrance. And I'm also going to highlight the door as well by using a little bit of birchwood slabs like this, just to kind of create a roof around the top of the door. So it just adds a little bit of a frame. It's in the same style as the other roofs that we have just up above. A couple of birch fence to connect those birchwood slabs together, and that looks really, really good. We have to create the same circling platform on this tree that we did the other tree, and it's just going to start on the right here, and it's going to follow mainly the same principles, meaning on the sides of the tree it's going to climb, but then as we get around the corners we're going to have flat parts. This is going to take a little bit longer because of how this trunk of the tree is devised. It's a little bit different than all of the other trunks. We really have kind of progressed here. We have started off with a nice, simple, one block flat trunk, and we have made our way to a big, chunky, 3D, walk-aroundable storage unit. So, you know, we've kind of progressed a little bit here. And eventually, once you have curled all of your oak wood slabs around the trunk of your tree, you're going to hit a point, and my point's about there, where it would look cool if you were to be able to climb up from the platform into the top of your treehouse. So, we have a bit of a spiral staircase going all the way around like this. But once you hit a certain point, I think it's kind of cool that you can just climb directly up onto the platform. I really like that. Not only that, I kind of want to decorate this area a little bit as well. So for instance, like where we have the base of the staircase, the walkway, I'm just going to place a little bit of birch wood around here. Because I think that it looks kind of cool to... What's the word? Just to kind of like frame it a little bit. It doesn't have to go all the way up, but I like the idea that it kind of like, it starts off at the bottom and then it just slowly like goes into like a spiral. Like it's a bit more planned out. What I also want to do is I want to add leaves underneath the platform here at the top of the tree. So the leaves are all the way up at the top of the trunk like this. And this is another way that you can decorate your treehouse. Not only do you add leaves up top, but you can also add leaves down below, wherever you feel necessary. Like they can be as chunky as you like, they can be as thin as you like. It really is completely up to you, and you can make them. You can make them as detailed or as little detailed as you like. I think that's not too bad. A little something like that looks pretty good. Not only that, but we want to create some branches coming out the side of the tree as well for decoration. So just place a few rows of like oak wood coming out the side of your tree, wherever you feel as though you think it might look good, like this. And just add some leaves around the oak wood. So like here, for instance, just on the right, that doesn't look too bad. You can make that a little bit longer. You can make that a bit thicker if you want, perhaps. So maybe like we could make it like a little bit more like this. But we could also, of course, like reinforce it by adding like an oak wood here too. And as long as you maintain a distance of 2, you're not going to hit your head on it. And it's the same sort of thing here. So here, if we maintain a distance of 2, maybe like start here, then you can add like, maybe we'll change the shape of it a little bit. And just like a branch, because you'd expect to see that on trees, especially larger ones like this. The smaller ones, maybe not so much, the other two that we made. But this one, definitely feel as though that you'd have some detail in the branches. Just like with the others, I'm going to add a little bit of glass to the middle of it. Probably about here is a good place. So in line with where the door is, in line with where the ladders are, in the middle. I think that we've just inadvertently created our treehouse, ladies and gentlemen. We've actually kind of like done the entire thing. The only thing that we haven't done is all the way up at the top here, we haven't filled in the inside. But luckily, I do have one that I made earlier. Now this is one I made earlier. You'll be able to see that down here in the base of the tree, we have chests, furnace storage, we even have a little shelf, lanterns, paintings. We have an armor stand, more paintings, more chests. It really is a cool storage tool that can go as high as the actual platform itself. And as we climb up and into the main part of the tree, you will see kind of like that messy, cozy vibe that I really do enjoy so much. This is my favorite sort of interior. Survival, useful, messy, cozy. All of my favorite words rolled into one. And that is our advanced treehouse complete. That, ladies and gentlemen, is free for free. Or should I say, tree for tree. If you are new around here and you enjoyed this video, please do consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the little bell next to the subscription button, as that will ensure that you get all of my videos sent directly to your sub box. And this is a brand new sort of video for me, so if you do enjoy this, let me know down there in the comment section, because I'd love to see whether you guys would want to see another version of this, maybe with modern houses or survival or whatever the case may be. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!